Welcome back to Adventure Grandpa's Kitchen. Finally, I'm going to get to make Anna Day's molasses cookies. I've been a little delayed. I ended up with a little knee surgery, and so I haven't been able to get to it. But I'm walking around pretty good now, and let's get to it. This is my recipe. That's the original recipe, but you can hardly make it out. Anyway, but that's it right there. Same thing, we rewrote it on this. What I've got 2 cups of flour. I've got a cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1, 2, and according to the directions, mix the soda, flour, and dry ingredients, which I just did. Mix them up a little bit. Okay. I have never made these before, except I think maybe when I was a little boy, I would help my grandmother. Now, this is supposed to be 3/4 of a cup of margarine, and it looks like a lot to me, but I measured it out in grams, something like 170 grams, and I softened it. It's kind of room temperature, and put it over there. And we need an egg. Try not to get the shells in there. I'm going to take the paper towel. Let's see. Oh, cinnamon and ginger. Hold on a minute. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. All right. Teaspoon of cinnamon. Half a teaspoon of ginger. That's about a half a teaspoon, I think. I'd say that's half a teaspoon. Hey, what? And we're going to mix this around. Now, this is the gooey stuff. This is 1/4 of a cup of molasses. And it is really gooey. And again, I've never made these, and I was too young to really learn how she did it. I think she used to let me roll the thing in balls because it looks pretty good. I seem to remember them being dark. Maybe they get dark when they cook them. Okay. It's been 2 hours. So, and I ended up putting them in the freezer, and it just, I guess, in the way you can use them, I would think I'd plan to leave these for 3 hours in the fridge for 3 hours because they're a little too gooey. And I'm not sure of the size. The recipe didn't call for any particular size. I remember them as being very, very thin. and quite big around. The other thing is, too, I'm supposed to squish them down with a glass covered with a damp cloth. Well, the only cloth I have is towels, and I don't think towel material would really do this. So I've got a coffee cup, looks like about the right size. I don't know, I think I remember them being so much smaller. But here we go. Here's the coffee cup. Yeah, that's not going to work. Not at all. Well, what we're going to do is we're just going to see if they'll melt down. I don't know. This was an experiment, and there's a lot of it left in the bowl there. We'll see what happens. We'll stick them in the oven. That tastes good. Cookie dough. We're going to stick them in the oven and see what happens. This is not Nana Day's molasses cookies. This was an epic fail. You just a couple of things went wrong. First of all, I didn't get the dough cold enough. I'm thinking it says till it's cold, but I think probably best to make these in the afternoon and put them in the refrigerator like all overnight, so it gets very hard. The dough gets very hard, and then you're supposed to roll them into a small ball. I recall they were about that big. Well, mine were that big, and as you can see, I couldn't squish them down, and so they basically melted and filled up the baking sheet and overflowed into the oven. And well, I told you I'd never made them before, so I'll give it another try. They smelled good, though. Well, that's it for the first attempt. There's bubbles in there. I remember this edge part. I remember the cookies coming out like that, but they weren't soggy. They were actually cooked. They taste good.